I've always felt when I was raised in the church, and that's my background. I was raised in the church from the time I was 3 days old. My dad was a pastor, evangelist. We were in church all of the time, in a meeting somewhere. I got saved when I was 6 because I didn't want to go to hell. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I got saved because I didn't want to go to hell, and I went into the ministry when I was 15. I just my whole life was religion. Now, I didn't know that at the time. I mean, I really met Jesus, and that's the only thing that kept me through all those years, is I really had faith in who Christ was. But I became a religious junkie pretty fast. But I always felt condemned in the church, and I felt bad because whenever everyone would testify, theirs was so good, and mine was so bad. And what I mean by that, let me explain good and bad testimonies if you're raised in church. A good testimony if you're raised in church is, I went to prison, I was a murderer, I was hooked on drugs, I was an alcoholic, I've been in and out of institutions, but Jesus saved me and washed me in the blood, and I'm a new creation. And man, I would think, God, look at that. And I'd hang my head and say, well, I got saved when I was 6, and I've never done this, and I've never done that, and I've never done this. And I always just felt like, man, I need a good testimony. And so, my other option was to go out and do a bunch of stuff wrong, see if the Lord would forgive me, and then I'd clean up my testimony a little bit. And I was too scared of hell for that. So I jumped deeper into the religious wheel, the hamster wheel of religion. And what I began to learn that has kind of made me who I am today, and that is, and very unapologetically, in my messages, I deal a lot with where I came from, because it's all that I really know. I don't know a lot about some of the stuff people did. I don't know what it means to be in some of the bondages people have been in. But what I learned was that I was in the biggest bondage of them all. And that it took me a long time to realize, A, how big the bondage was, and even to this day, to figure out that I never did heroin. I never was an alcoholic. But I don't think there's a drug or an alcohol in the world that's harder to come out from under than the bondage of religion. I really don't. I can't imagine, because at least if you haven't tipped the bottle back, you can put the date on the calendar and say, it's been this many years. Thank God in heaven it's been this many years. But I can't sometimes go a whole day without some of the old shadows of my religion haunting back across my path. And I find myself stepping through that shadow. And I'm going to say, stepping through what sometimes feels like a cool shadow of the familiar religion I was raised up under, and the familiar performance I was raised up under, and the cool shadow of my own self that is a drug that is hard to get off of. And what I need is a deliverance from an entire age, the idea of the age of shadow versus the age of a substance. And it was so deeply ingrained in me, and I'm not blaming my heritage, not blaming my parents, I'm not blaming my background. I thank God for what's happened in me, because in all honesty, the reason why I'm unashamedly going to preach the way that I preach is because it's all that I have to offer. And what I have to offer is, if you came up under religion and you know Christianity, then I might have something to say to you. Because I've been down that road, man, as far as you can go down that road. I might be able to help, because I became infatuated with what I now view as the shadows of Christianity, but stuff that didn't mean anything, that to me meant everything. I mean, I remember as a kid being told, you don't chew that gum in the house of God. You don't run. You don't stand on that pew. This is God's house. And man, I was taught to fear God if I walked through the church building. I remember even as a young man, I didn't wear a pair of shorts in the sanctuary because, and I'm talking, it wasn't church time. There's no way you'd wear them church time. I didn't wear them out of church time. I went home. If I had to do work at the church and I was wearing shorts, I would go home and put jeans on, because I had to go into the building and get something. And so I go put jeans on to walk in and get it, go back out, go back home, put shorts back on so I could go back outside. Because God was so holy that I couldn't walk across the sanctuary in a pair of shorts. I remember my mom cleaned the church when I was a kid. We were not allowed to Windex the altar. because you would take away the tear stains of sinners who got saved. Anybody been down that one? I'm all by myself there, ain't it? Yes. Holier than all of you. I can guarantee you, just slightly holier. If I really believed that, you should stone me. I mean, you should just forget him. Chewing gum. If you chew juicy fruit in the middle of the sermon, somebody beside you might go to hell. You don't get up and go to the bathroom during the invitation, because if you get up and go to the bathroom during the invitation and that sinner next to you misses out on God, it's going to be your fault for all of eternity that you couldn't hold your bladder 5 more minutes. I'm just trying to explain where I came from, okay? I really got to lay the stage for the shout. I got a couple of heads going up and down, because some of you been there. You held it till you peed your pants, man. Because you loved people and you wanted them to go to heaven. I peed my pants just so you'd get saved. Now don't let me down in this journey for Jesus. Run the race, brother. Man, lots and lots of it. And I thought it was Christianity. I did. In fact, it gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling when I thought about it, because that was the holiness of God. That was respect for the Spirit. And you're going to understand what I'm saying here in a little bit when I tell you that sometimes that shadow falls back across my path. I can walk underneath that like a cool shade in the middle of a hot day. And I hope I can bring that across tonight like I'd like to. But what I really began to understand is that what I was becoming infatuated with were a lot of things that represented good things, but within themselves, they weren't much.